It's super normal for children to get ear infections, especially under the age of 3. It's the rarity if a child really never had a single ear infection. We're sort of set up to have a problem with ear infections when we're little because our eustachian tubes don't really work well. They're flat. They communicate with the back of the nose very easily, so almost any little cold can shoot up to the ear and give you an ear infection. And so it's super common to get ear infections. But you shouldn't have them over and over and over. And so there is something called otitis prone, which means that the child is prone to have acute otitis media. So we call it otitis prone, and it's if you get 3 ear infections. These are acute otitis media, so middle ear infections, 3 in 6 months, or 4 in a year. So 3 or more in 6 months, 4 or more in a year. And the reason that's sort of the guideline is that 1 ear infection lasts about 3 weeks. And so if you get 3 or 4 in 6 months, you're really getting them back to back. And it's dangerous in regard to there is some small risk of meningitis with ear infections. That's lower now that kids get their pneumococcal vaccinations. But, there's a lot of families out there, at least in the neighborhood that I practice, that are no-vaxxers, and so we've got some little kids out there that haven't been vaccinated, and so they have a risk of getting invasive pneumococcal infections from an ear infection. And so there's that risk, and then there's the going 6 months of time with fluid in your ears. So people just think of the infection, the kid's sick, they have a high fever, but then for 3 or 4 weeks after, they're going to be plugged. And so, these are speech development years. So if your child is trying to learn how to talk and he goes 6 months without hearing properly, he's going to kind of sound like he doesn't talk right? Because that's how he hears speech. And so for speech development, we have issues. They can start to injure their middle ear and their little hearing bones. And this is a problem they'll grow out of if we can get them through it. And so ear tubes are what we do when they start getting a recurrent infection. So if they become otitis prone, then they should come see an ENT, and we should do some tests to confirm it. And then if our tests show that they really do have a eustachian tube problem, then we go put tubes in that takes the place of a functioning eustachian tube so that they can ventilate the ear. And then if they do get an ear infection, they don't have to go on lots of antibiotics or antibiotic shots. They can just put ear drops in their ear. So they're very helpful. And then most kids, like 99% of them who get ear tubes, will push them out on their own. So you don't have to go in and take them out. They last about 6 months to 18 months, and they'll just the body will push them out, heal the drum behind it, and then most of the time the child is a year older or 18 months older, and that makes all the difference. And most kids that need an ear tube, 85% of children who get a set of tubes, that's the only set of tubes they're going to need. So it's really a temporizing thing so that child can get older and then be able to have the defenses that older kids and adults have for recurrent ear infections.